I used to be on the front lines of global advertising. I was the person that sold you toothpaste, toilet paper, Tampax, gum, body wash, Axe, body spray, and even the oil and gas that is used in most Formula One cars. It was amazing. I got to travel the world. I got to see other cultures. I got to see how people lived. I got to see how they shopped. And it was really exciting. I really, really loved it. In 2014, I joined VaynerMedia, which is a global media creative advertising agency run by Gary Vaynerchuk. Some of you might know him as Gary V. I was the first SVP that he hired. I think basically I was one of the oldest people. And so I was given the biggest account with about 60 human beings. 60 human beings, creatives, writers, account people, strategists, you name it. And it was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Here we were making campaigns to try to get other stuff into your hands, other stuff into your Instagram feeds and Facebook feeds. But the best part of that job was caring for the people. It was amazing. So every fourth Wednesday, we would get into a very, very small conference room, all of us, windowless in the middle of Manhattan. And we would have our team meetings. We would have some Prosecco, some sparkling water, some cupcakes, some nosh, stuff like that. And instead of asking people to talk about their campaigns or the client briefs, I asked people to bring in song lyrics. I asked people to bring in poetry. There was a strategy to that. Not only do I like song lyrics and poetry, but I wanted to create connection. I wanted to get us out of talking about work. I wanted to build trust with all of these people, and it was absolutely amazing, beautiful. That was in 2014. By the end of 2015, my soul was dying. I could not be in one more client meeting talking about the efficacy of whitening toothpaste. It didn't matter to me if there was cursive or capitals on a shampoo bottle. I couldn't do it anymore. So I went into my boss's office, Gary, and I said, I'm not interested in advertising anymore. It just doesn't, I don't want to get this in front of anyone anymore. It doesn't matter. And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I only care about the people here. I care about the heartbeat. He said, great, I need you to do this for 18 more months. He doesn't remember me saying, I'll give you 6 more months. But in fact, I gave him 6 more months. I found my backfill. And on the last night, we had our team meeting. It was Wednesday night. Here we are on Park Avenue, Manhattan. We're all cramped together in this room, Prosecco, cupcakes, sparkling water, sipping rosé. And one of the creative directors hands me a piece of paper, and he says, all right, everyone, circle up. Claude, close your eyes. So I close my eyes, and one by one, I hear these voices. Be big in the room. No feeling is final. Be the bigger person in every situation. A smile can move mountains. And right about then, I started to cry because I realized they were reading off a poem that they had created with all of the things I had been telling them. I opened my eyes, I turned around, and they had presented me with this amazing, amazing poster of all of the things I had said to them over those 16 months. And it just dawned on me. The connection worked. They listened, they trusted, they believed. And they gave me this incredible, incredible present, which is hanging on my wall now at Vayner. So like I said, I resigned. 3 months later, I go to breakfast with Gary. We sit down, and he immediately says, you're coming back, you're going to be Chief Heart Officer. Chief Heart Officer. And I knew what that was because it's who I am. If you have a heart to help and you know how to put your ego aside and be a passenger with someone and whatever they're going through, you're a Chief Heart Officer. We've already heard from many Chief Heart Officers tonight. people that care, people that will go the extra distance. So, remember, like any good marketer, I had some questions for him. First one was, you know I never wanted to do HR, right? And he said, yeah, you're going to learn HR, and then you're going to hire a very strong team around you. So 10 years later, I have a great team, and I get to sit outside of HR now, but at least I know what's up. Second, what are we building here? You always want to ask your boss, like, what's the vision? What are we building here? And he said, we are building the single greatest human organization in the history of time. All right, aspirational. Who doesn't want to be a part of that? And then, of course, I said, how do we know if I'm successful? And he said the following: you will touch every single human being and deploy empathy throughout the organizations. So we were about 350 then. We're 2,000 plus now globally in places that I don't speak the language, I've never gone to. Deploy empathy to every single human being. What an incredible challenge. That's us. Basically saying, okay, I'll do it. It's amazing. So how do you do that? How do you scale empathy? How do you scale the unscalable? How do you do that? How do you bring heart and humanity into an organization? Well, what we do know is the way organizations are going right now, the rate of employees wanting to bail is at an all-time high. An all-time high, whether or not it's quiet quitting, whether or not it's hybrid, whether or not it's return to the office. People are bummed. People want out because there's no heart, because there's no trust, because there's no one there to say, hey, how are you doing? You want to go for a coffee? You having a hard day? Let's go for a walk. So I figured the most important thing was to make sure that the agency itself understood what emotional intelligence was, what the traits of emotional intelligence: gratitude, humility, kindness, empathy. I'm often actually asked, can you teach empathy? So of course you can teach kindness and compassion. So I made sure that that was through the water. That was literally the water that we were drinking. And then I figured I needed to start meeting people. I needed to start having one-on-ones with people, getting to know them, getting to know what ticked, what talked, listening to them, asking questions. So I started doing 15-minute meetings. And that 15-minute meeting actually scaled. To this day, all of the leaders, all of the managers now do 15-minute meetings. It's amazing what you can get out of a 15-minute meeting if you are actively listening. If you can create and hold space for another person, no matter what's going on. Put your ego in the back seat. Put your judgment in the back seat, which is really difficult because we all have bias. It's amazing what you can hear. Listening for patterns, some data. Are they happy? One of the things that I did, because I'm very basic, is I started to play this game called Rose, Bud, Thorn, which you've probably heard about. Rose, what is something that you're looking forward to? Rose, what is something great? Someone would say, I work with an awesome team. They're so supportive. I love them. They're great. Great. Bud, what's something you're looking forward to? My manager says I'm rocking. I think of promotions in my future. Thorn, I have ADHD. My therapist says I need a walking desk. Can you help me? It's a big ask. Rose, Bud, Thorn is an incredible way to have someone give you information without saying, hey, what's going on with you? How are you doing? And probing and probing and probing, because no one wants to be probed, right? People want to feel cared for, and that starts with psychological safety. Psychological safety is something that Google found to be the most important trait of high-performing teams. They did a project called Project Aristotle in 2015. They predicted that high-performing teams would be so successful because they would have the one rock star on their team, or they would have the greatest manager on their team. But after interviewing 20,000 people, they found that it's psychological safety. Psychological safety is extremely important. And in a workplace, what that means is People feel safe to speak up. The introvert in the corner, the person on Zoom, people feel safe. They feel trusted. They feel like they belong. And that's what heart is all about. That's what humanity is all about. We're always going to have business goals, tons of KPIs. You get the highs, you get the lows. But it's the heart and the humanity that make people stay. That's what drives retention. That's what drives innovation. That's what drives creativity. That's what drives word of mouth, referrals, so you don't have to pay so much. Recruiting. And then there's this other thing that we did, which is there's a lot of people just like me, just like there are in the room, just like there are in the company. And so slowly but surely, I found these people that had a very similar DNA, that believed in people, that saw possibility in people, that cared about people. And so I started calling on them. Someone was having a bad day in London. I would Slack the person that I knew I could count on in London and say, hey, can you go check on Jimmy, see if he's okay? Or in LA, someone's father was in the hospital. Hey, can you go check on Sally? And I call these people culture champions. Sounds pretty weird, right? Culture champions, but they are the people that I know will scale the culture in the way that I know Gary wants it, in the way that we want it. We want to be a company where people want to stay forever, where they're happy, where they see possibility and growth, where feedback is a gift rather than poison, right? So I want to tell you a story about this all coming to life. It was pre-COVID, and I was sitting in my office, and probably the door was opening, door was closing, one-on-ones, strategy conversations. And I get this Slack message from someone I don't know. Hey, can I come and talk to you? Of course. What's going on? Hey, he said, oh yeah, my name's David. Great. Hi, David, how are you? Well, I don't want to tell anyone this, and I really don't want anyone on my team knowing this, but I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I've been in recovery for 13 years, and I'm on an alcohol brand, and I really think it's a detriment. It's unhealthy to me, but I don't know what to do. Say no more. So I Slacked his manager, and I said, whatever you have to do, David's not working on this brand in 24 hours. And of course, this is a place where it's an advertising agency. We need resources, right? And the guy said, can't do that. We have no one to step in for him. And I just said, listen, what matters is that we take care of him, and he needs to be off this team tomorrow. I didn't go into the why. It's not my business. And sure enough, he was off that team in 24 hours. That's what care is all about. Listening. Instead of saying to him, hey, do you want to talk to our employee assistance program? Will that help? And you can stay on the alcohol brand? It's listening to him and saying, oh, this is a detriment to his health. He's now in our Los Angeles office. He's a manager. He's highly successful, and I'm really, really proud of him, which is fantastic. I want to tell you another story. This is in COVID. So COVID, we were all trying to figure out how you do this. How do you scale culture in COVID? How do you reach out and touch someone through a screen? And it turns out you actually can build intimacy. You can create intimacy if you're actively listening and showing your body language and listening and leaning in and whatnot. So I open up my laptop, and here's a guy. I've never seen him before. And I said, hey, I'm Claude. Obviously, I'm Claude. He knows that. But hey, I'm Claude. What's your name? I said, I'm Paul. Chris told me to come talk to you. Chris is great. Yeah, I love Chris. That's all. Yeah, that's great. What's going on, Paul? He's about 23 years old, probably. Says, I am battling depression. Now, it's COVID, and we know that that's very, very difficult. People are isolating and alienating. So in that moment, I could have done 10,000 things that an HR person would have done. Have you seen our benefits? Do you have a therapist? Do you want to see our employee assistance program? But instead, I thought about what I would want, what I think any human would want, which is to be heard. So I said, what do you do when you're depressed? Hey, Paul, what do you do when you're depressed? And he said, I write poetry. And I said, God, I would love to hear some of your poetry. He said, only if you read me your favorite poem, which was easy for me. So I read him Love After Love by Derek Walcott, which is a gorgeous poem about coming home to yourself, greeting yourself, accepting yourself. It gives me the chills to think about. That's all I wanted for him, was to know that he was safe here, he belonged. Whatever he was going through, I got him, we got him. This company was going to take care of him. And I wanted him to know that we accepted him just the way he was. He then went on to read me 3 poems, and the 15 minutes turned into 25 minutes, and we were crying, just crying. And he said, I now know why Chris told me to come talk to you. He's now in our London office, doing extremely well. He still has his battles, just like everyone else. But he knows this company has his back, that we care for him. And that's really what heart is all about, leaning in, being a human rather than a robot. Not being in the business of no, being in the business of yes, that might be possible. Let's talk about it. People say all the time, well, there's a lot of people that say, well, so are you saying that we should love at work? Yeah, actually I am. I think leaders love. That's my belief. Obviously, I'm not talking about romantic love. I hope everyone knows that. Our heart is the strongest muscle we have in our body. Heart is not soft. Heart is strong. Just like there is no such thing as soft skills. They are hard skills. They are life skills. They are necessary life skills. These are all shifts we need to make in the workplace so that people want to stay, that they're happy, that they can see themselves in 5 years, 10 years. We have incredible longevity I'm so proud of. Most of the people in our company have been there from 5 to 13 years, and we've only been around for 16 years. Now, we work for Gary, and he's a disruptor, and you want to be around that energy. But it's not him that sets the culture. It's everyone that brings the culture to life. And this is what ROI is all about. It is strong business when you retain people, when you have longevity and loyalty. It really is. So I want to end with this great stanza by Maya Angelou that I have on my wall at work and at home. And it's so important because I think that this is the red thread that goes through healthy cultures. People will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Thank you.